Well, everybody, welcome. It's Thursday, so it's another top 10. Back with Mike Mustafa. I'm glad he joined again. He's a busy man, but takes the time to do this. So today we're going to jump right into this. It's the top 10 level 2 damage spells. Last week was level 1. This week's level 2. You can only guess next week will be level 3. And we all know everybody's number 1 is going to be Fireball. So we'll see if that happens next week. Although I did find a spell that would be a little bit better. So
there's a few that are really good on level 3.
Yes, there are. And there's one that actually rivals it that I didn't know about. So we'll get to that, though, next week.
Thunderbolt.
No, Lightning Bolt. I think it was Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt, yeah.
So,
same amount of damage,
thing.
Different circumstances.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, we'll get into that next week. So here we go. We're going to start off with my number 10 is Spiritual Weapon. I love Spiritual Weapon. You roll your eyes because look, I mean, you had to deal with me making my spiritual weapon a giant lollipop.
That's not why I'm rolling my eyes. I will explain why I'm rolling my eyes when we get to number 4.
Okay. All right. So I was looking at purely damage on this, and then I changed it up like I told you a couple of hours ago right before we did this. But, I mean, you create a weapon, does 1d8 plus your spell casting damage. And it should probably be a little bit higher on my list because of the bonus action, being able to move it and then being able to attack again with it. But again, I was solely looking at what damage output it is. So that's potentially 2d8s per round, which is not bad. But, again, this goes back, though, to what I've been talking about is it's good with role playing because it gets the people involved to say, oh, you know what? It is a lollipop. It's a giant mace. It's a big hand that just slaps people. So, that's it's always fun for me.
Great spell. I would actually like to start out my list by giving an honorable mention to Phantasmal Force.
Yeah.
It very much like Absorb Elements. It's not thought of as a traditional damage spell. Under the right circumstances, it can deal damage. I believe 1d6 if you create an illusion that causes or that could reasonably cause damage to the creature, like a pool of acid or a creature that's attacking it. It also has incredible utility trying to either crowd control fights. You can create an illusion that is just going to frighten a creature and make it run away. Under the right circumstances, I think it's actually in the description of the spell, if you have a bridge that spans a chasm, and the creature fails its saving throw, it just walks off the cliff and problem solved. But I didn't put it in the actual top 10 because it's not really a damage spell.
Right.
So my number 10 is Shadowblade. Okay. It is a bonus action. It deals 2d8. I believe it's 1 minute concentration, which 2d8 as a repeatable source of damage for, I believe it's sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards that can pick it up, is pretty awesome. It also has the benefit of being able to be thrown in a pinch if you don't want to get up close to whatever it is you're fighting, or if the thing is running away and you need to stop it. So just being able to repeatably deal 2d8 with it is pretty cool. It's also being that it is a bonus action, the turn that you summon it, you can summon it and cast a cantrip. So pretty solid spell in my opinion.
Yeah. No, Will loves to use that in my game. He's constantly, every time he's just using it.
It's pretty good.
It annoys me. That's why it's not on my list. It just annoys me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I was gonna tie it with I was gonna put also Flame Blade in the number 10 spot, but I realized that is druids only, and I think Shillelagh being a cantrip is just better than Flame Blade.
You know me, I agree.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, that was the thing too. I was looking at it, like, we should have started out with top 10 damage cantrips.
Yeah,
we could do that later.
We might have to go back and do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well. So moving along, man. My number 9. This is the one I was talking about before we started recording this, and I am recording this time, Mike. So
it's all
good. Yeah. My number 9 is Spike Growth. I've used it in your game, but I've been using it completely wrong. I just hit them with it, and it does 2d4 damage. It does have a range of 150 feet. But the thing that I didn't realize before is it's a 20-foot circle radius, and for if once I cast it and keep concentration for 10 minutes, every 5 feet they move within it, it does an additional 2d4 piercing damage to them. Probably could be a little bit higher because if you hit it just right and they move, the full 20 feet, I mean, that's some good damage. But I don't know. It's one of my favorite things. And also the other thing to it is that they don't know it's that. It's camouflaged, and they have to use a perception to see once they step on it. So it's fun.
So this is maybe the first and last time that this is going to occur in this series. My number 9 is spike growth.
Really?
Yes. Effectively for the same reasons. It creates, I believe, a 20-foot cube. Every 5 feet that they move through it is going to be 2d4 damage. You can put it way away. I think that the duration on it is 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use it outside of combat. If you're like setting up a trap, you can, put spike growth in place ahead of time. Additionally, everything in that cube is difficult terrain. So even if they do step into it and then immediately step out, that's still going to be 10 feet of movement that they had to use to get out.
Yeah.
And in the situation where, you're setting up camp in a clearing and there's only one realistic way that things can come in, that something's coming, drop spike growth down. By the time they walk all the way through that 20-foot cube, they're looking at 8d4 damage before they even get to the fight. And it can mess with multiple creatures. It can most creatures are going to have to spend more than one turn just moving all the way through it to get to you. So it gives you a lot of time to set everybody up to get some extra early damage in before they actually start wailing on you guys. Just really great spell. I can't remember if you cast it in our last game or if I cast it in our last game.
I think you cast it in the last game.
I think so. And that's the first time I'd ever played with it.
Yeah, it's fun. I've been using it wrong. Yeah. Every time I've done it, and now that I've completely read through this, I'm like, nope, not gonna happen. If I had any second level spell slot, if I had any second level spell slots in your game, that's the first thing I would do. Is like, nope, dropped. I'm running.
Yep. It's a pretty cool spell.
Yeah. Number 8 for me is, and I'm probably gonna pronounce this wrong, is Snilix Snowball Storm. Sniliox. Maybe that's it. Sniliox Snowball Storm. I've never, to be honest with you, I've never seen this one before. So, but reading through it, it's 3d6 cold damage. It has a range of 90 feet. The only reason why I think if I was looking at solely damage on it, it's my number 8 is because it's only in a 5-foot cube. So it's only or 5-foot radius. It's only going to hit one person. To me, if this had a 10 or 15-foot radius, it would be, a little bit higher up. And it does, 3d6 damage on a failed save, dexterity save, that is, and half as much damage. So you're going to get damage out of it no matter what. So it's
absolutely. There's actually a couple of ways to rule on that. When it's specifically a 5-foot cube, I've seen times where DMs will decide that it's anything adjacent to that 5-foot cube.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a way to kind of increase the range of it if your DM's willing to allow that. My number 8 is Acid Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Has great range. I want to say 100. Can you look it up? Is it 120 feet on it?
It is 90 feet.
90 feet. Okay. Deals 44, and if they fail their saving throw, it then deals an additional 2d4 the next turn. So it's got a ceiling of 24 damage, which is pretty good, but it's got a floor of 6 damage if they fail their saving throw. So good way to get some serious damage in from a distance.
Yes, very much so. That's on my list. So this one, I misread it, but I didn't want to move it. So my number 7 is Scorching Ray. It should now be higher up on this list because it's 3 and it does 2d6 for each 3.
Lot
Again,
of
that was me
damage.
misreading, and see, that's the problem. I misread a lot. I mean, with 120 feet range and that much damage, especially with 3, yeah, I kind of fucked up on that one. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It just shoots these scorching rays at things, and you get some damn good damage.
My number 7 is going to be Mind Spike. It is 3d8 damage, which is pretty solid. The cool thing about it is the duration on it lasts for an hour. So once they've been hit with it, you can use its ability to track exactly where they are if you guys are on the same plane of existence. And if it happens to be a creature that has the ability to turn invisible, they gain no effect from the invisibility. You're going to know where they are at all times for the next hour. So it's good damage spell, good utility spell, and I'm a fan.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the reason why I like that spell is because of the being able to track and the invisibility, especially if somebody's playing like a ranger or something. And you know, you can.
Yeah.
I don't even know who it's available for. I'd have to look.
I think it's wizard, warlock, and sorcerer actually.
Yep, you're 100% right. So yeah, I was wrong about the ranger. That should be a ranger spell though, because you'd be able to track them.
Rangers have Hunter's Mark, which
Yeah.
also allows you to track your target.
Track it, but the damage. So my number 6 is Acid Arrow.
Okay.
For all the same things you said, I just absolutely anything that you hit it, it's 44 acid damage, and then 2d4 acid damage at the end of the next turn. Just all the stuff that you were saying. You know, there's no reason to continue on with that. It is a great spell. I would probably put that below Scorching Ray again now that I've read that. But you know what? Top 10s aren't perfect, and I'm
it's
definitely
all
not
subjective.
perfect. Yeah, exactly. I would get more use out of Acid Arrow than I would Scorching Ray, and that's kind of I think part of my thing is I think of it that way as well.
Sure.
So yeah, so we can move right along.
Oh shit. My number 6 is Moonbeam. 2d10 radiant damage in a 5-foot area of effect cube. Can concentrate on it for up to 1 minute. And every turn you can change its position. You can move it up to 60 feet on the battlefield. And so if whatever it is you're fighting is super mobile, you can constantly move it from place to place following whatever it is you're fighting to just re-up 2d10 damage, which is pretty solid amount of damage over, the course of the fight.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was on my list, but I ended up taking it off.
Yeah.
I also kind of figured you'd probably have it on there, and it would have been it would have been at this. It would have been 6 probably. But who knows? I mean, I changed shit every 5 minutes. But I can't do it now. I'm recording. So, all right. So my number 5 is Flame Blade. I've used this before. It's a bonus action. Does 3d6 fire damage on a hit. And then, it also sheds light. So it has a utility. So if you're in a dungeon and you don't have any torches, it does help that, even if it is just a 10-foot radius. That's pretty much all I can say about that. That's pretty much all it does. But the 3d6 fire damage and then plus the, dim light for 10 feet can definitely help, especially if you're in darkness.
My number 5 is one of Robert's all-time favorite spells, maybe his favorite spell in the entire spell list. I'm not really sure. Heat Metal.
It's favorites.
It's going to be, you target a metal object, 2d8, I believe, fire damage. If it is a weapon or a shield or something that they are carrying that they can drop, they have to make a saving throw. And if they do, they drop. Or if they fail, they drop whatever it is that you're targeting. If they don't or can't, you can re-up the 2d8 damage every turn. So the reason that I've got it at number 5 is because you can't, you drop your shield, move it over to this guy, you drop your sword, and so on and so forth. But if they're wearing, like, say, plate armor, it's reasonable to target their armor, which they can't just drop. And then every turn you get 2d8 additional damage.
Yep.
Also, and this is the reason that Robert loves it so much, from a role-playing perspective, it is fantastic.
Yes,
if you are interrogating somebody and you really need the information out of them, you cast heat metal on their chainmail shirt and just slowly turn up the heat. You're gonna get the answers that you want.
Yeah,
it's gonna come.
Then you cast ice knife and promise that this will cool you off.
You'll make it all go away.
Yeah. One thing
it's like
go ahead.
It's like the D&D version of waterboarding.
Yes, very much so. It is, and he's right. It's one of my favorite all-time spells. One thing you're forgetting though is if they can't drop it, they do get disadvantage on their next attack roll.
Oh, that is also true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of utility, decent damage, and just a really cool spell overall. Really good spell design, I think.
Yes, it's and anything that tortures anything, that's usually where I go. But I'm playing a good character, so I can't do that. You know?
Well,
you don't allow me to play
sometimes.
Evil characters. I ruin that.
I don't allow you to play chaotic evil characters.
Okay,
I don't think it's a good alignment. I think it's boring. I don't like murder hobos.
All right. Which I am, which is funny because I hate them in my games, but I'm a murder hobo in yours when I can be. All right, so number 4 for me is Maximilian's Earthen Grasp. I absolutely love that. It's 2d8 bludgeoning damage, and it restrains the creature if they fail a strength saving throw against it. And then you can also move it, and then on your next turn, if you're still holding them, you can use an action to crush them, and that they take 2d6 or half as much on that. So you can just hold it, but to me, it's one of those things too. It grabs them, you kill that. It's weak. You kill that, then I can move it to the next one and grab them again. Grab that person and help. I mean, it's got a lot of utility to it. There was something else. Was there something about difficult terrain?
No.
Okay.
Because they're restrained, their speed becomes 0.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, if you know what you're fighting, their strength isn't that good. So, I mean, if it's a shit ton of goblins, you're going to be able to hold them. You're going to be able to grab them, kill them, and keep moving on. And it's even, once you move it, if it's within 5 feet, that's when you can use it to grab it. It doesn't have to be occupying the same square.
My number 4 is, and I had a really hard time placing this one because there is an argument for it to be any spot in the top 10. You can value this as the number 1 best damage spell or the worst of the 10. Spiritual Weapon. which Robert clearly has no respect for.
No, I do
not. Fun fact about me, when I play D&D, my preferred class to play is a cleric, so I will admit that I'm a little biased. But it's 1d8 damage plus your wisdom modifier. It is a bonus action. You can move it up to 20 feet, and as a bonus action, you can move it up to 20 feet and make an attack with it. It lasts for a minute. It's not concentration.
Nope.
I thought for the longest time that it was a concentration spell. It is not concentration.
No.
So the reason that I love it so much is it is the turn that you conjure it, you can do that and cast a cantrip. Every turn after that, if you need to heal somebody, you can heal somebody and still make an attack with it as a bonus action. You can cast a more impactful spell and make it an attack with it as a bonus action. And it has the ability to keep you out of the actual battle. You can kind of stand on the sidelines and just use your spells where you need to while still contributing damage every round of the fight. It also, most of the time, your wisdom is going to be higher than your strength. So it just increases the overall damage that you would be able to do with an attack anyway. I think that it is a fantastic spell, and it would have been my number one, but I tried to be unbiased in this list because it is definitely my favorite of the level 2 damage spells.
See, that's why again, purely damage on it, and just as a bonus action, being able to move it. That's why I made my list. I enjoy using it, but not as much as you do. But maybe I'll try it better.
The fact that it's not concentration gives you the ability, if the fight goes, 5 rounds, and you conjure it typically the first round of combat, you're dealing a total of 5d8 plus your wisdom modifier times 5.
Yep.
So
that's true.
Overall damage, still pretty solid.
That's why I have you doing this with me, because you'll see something that I don't. So all right. So my number 3, which you thought would have been my number 1, is heat metal. I mean, there's nothing really else I can say about it. It's just, yes, I've used it for torture. Yes, I've used it for just, I think, and I don't think in one of your games and somebody else's game, I've used it as fuck with my party too. It's like, why is my sword getting hot? Drop it and just sit over there and laugh at them the whole time. I don't know. You said everything about it. So
sorry I beat you to that one.
That's fine. I'm happy. I'm glad it was on your list.
It's a good spell.
Yes.
My number 3 is going to be Maximilian's Earthen Grasp.
Oh, there we go.
Basically the same reasons you had it. 2d6 force damage, bludgeoning damage.
It's bludgeoning damage. Yes.
Bludgeoning damage.
Yeah. I didn't say
great
that.
crowd control spell. It can, block something in place. It restrains them. If you happen to get it on the big bad in the fight, the restrain becomes even more useful because your attack rolls against it are going to have advantage, and its attack rolls against you have disadvantage. It also, has disadvantage on dexterity saving throws, can't move around, just overall great spell. And the fact that you can go from creature to creature and just keep the party going, or you can just leave it on whichever one you grab first and just keep crushing it every turn. Pretty solid spell.
Yep. When it lasts 1 minute, so I mean it's going to last pretty much. I don't think I've ever seen one go more than 10 rounds. There might be, but I don't think I've seen a fight, unless it's a huge fight, go more than 10 rounds.
Definitely not at level 2.
Yeah. There's
or
no
level 3, I guess.
Yeah. And it is. I've never really used it until I was reading it. Now I'm like, I got to use this.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is going to be, and I'm going to butcher this name too, Agnazar's Scorcher.
Aganazar's.
Let's see. I knew you would probably know that. And the reason why this is at my number 2 is because even though it's a 30-foot range, but it's within a 5-foot area. So if there are creatures lined up, all of them have to make a dexterity saving throw. And if they fail it, they take 3d8 fire damage. And then if they succeed, they take half as much. So it's going to hit damage. But again, I mean, if you're in a hallway that's only 5 feet, that's like one of the best things you can do, just to hit it, knock them out, hopefully hurt them enough to where you can have everybody else kind of just take care of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is kind of incredible. It happened twice.
You said it was only going to happen once.
I thought it was going to happen once in the series, but it happened twice. My number 2 is also Aganazar's Scorcher. Same reasons, 3d8 fire damage in a 30-foot by 5-foot line. The downside to it is obviously if one of your allies is in the way, or if you didn't know one of your allies is in the way, because if you can see it, then you're probably not going to cast it. But it has, like you said, 30-foot range, everything in there, 3d8. Great spell. A lot of damage to potentially a lot of creatures in like the hallway situation, or if you can get them, contained in an area.
Yep, I love it. All right, so this is going to shock you. So my number one is Mind Spike. And
Really?
Yes, and the reason is the same thing for Dissonant Whispers, even though Dissonant Whispers is lower on my list. It's a great role-playing tool as well. The biggest reason why I put it at number one was, I mean, it's 3d8 psychic damage, but it's the ability, if they fail their saving throw, you know where they're at, they can't hide, and even if they are invisible, you know where they're at. So it gives you so much advantage on it, and it deals really good damage. And I wasn't thinking of this one as being the highest damage that it could have been, but everything else, all the utility that comes with it, helps out, because just think about fighting 5 creatures that are invisible, and you can hit all 5 of them. Now you can tell your party where they're at.
Robert has a healthy fear of creatures that he can't see after his last session playing.
Yes, I do. yes, I do.
My number one is another spell that I think should have been higher on your list. Scorching Ray.
Yeah.
1 to 3 targets. The downside of it is you do have to make a separate attack roll against each of the targets, but it is going to be 2d6 fire damage to each of the rays that you shoot. So if you are only fighting one big creature, you just unload all 3 of them at that. If all of them hit, you got 66 fire damage. That's a huge chunk. If you're fighting a swarm of creatures, each one targets a different one. You got, up to 12 damage on each one. Huge range on it. I want to say it's 120 feet.
I think it was. I don't have that. Let's see. Let's look up. If I can spell today. Yes, 120 feet. And again, I read it wrong. I read it wrong. I've never used it. It's just like Magic Missile.
I've never used it either. But when I was reading through them, I was like, I think this is the best one.
And for all the points that you just made, I mean, it's great crowd control. If it is one thing left, you are going to do a lot of damage to it. And again, now that I'm seeing all this, I would probably flip a few.
Yeah.
I still think I would have Mind Spike at number one, just because, again, the utility of it, along with the damage and then the role playing aspect.
Absolutely. But Scorching Ray is my number one. Similar to last time, I had a really hard time picking a number one, because Aganazar's Scorcher is also very good. Earthen Grasp is great. Spiritual Weapon is great. But I think in terms of pure damage, 66 as a level 2 spell is pretty nuts.
Mike, I want to thank you for stopping by again today. We'll do it again next week whenever you're free. That was the top 10 level 2 damage spells. I'm pretty sure there's going to be, if people actually watch this,
there's going to be some people upset in the comments.
Yes, very much so. So what I want to say is, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. We'll be back next Thursday with another one. And just like, subscribe, whatever. I don't know how this shit works. So y'all have a great rest of y'all's night or day or whatever it is. Peace.